Hi guys and welcome to my channel. Today I want to show you how to make Russian pryaniki. The name of the Russian gingerbread comes from the word pryany, which means spicy. The first pryaniki in Russia appeared around 9th century and they were called honey bread. To make stamped pryaniki, you will need those pryaniki boards, and they have enough depth for you actually to fill your pryaniki. And look how beautiful these are. They're all hand carved. There are a couple different options. You could use that terracotta cookie mold by Cotton Press, and those you won't be able to fill because they're quite shallow. Or you can use these mamul cookie molds. They will work too for your pryaniki. 1,000 years ago, pryaniki were made out of rye flour mixed with honey and berry juice. Later, when Russia started to trade with India and the Middle East, the exotic spices were imported. Spices were often added to the dough, and they called dry perfume. Let's make our dry perfume, and it's not like a shake of this and shake of that. We're actually gonna add 1 teaspoon of ground coriander, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground cardamom, a teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of ground cloves, and then we are gonna also add 2 teaspoons of cocoa powder, and we're gonna add some nutmeg. We're just gonna grate it. Spices are very important in this recipe because they serve as a natural preservative. That's why pryaniki stay soft for a long time. And here's the recipe for pryaniki dough. You're gonna need 300 grams of dark rye flour, 300 grams of plain flour, 1 egg, 100 grams of butter, 400 grams of honey, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and you're also gonna need some jam or fruit paste. First, we need to make our dry mix. Add 1 teaspoon of baking powder to one of the flours, and then we're gonna sieve through our dark rye flour and our all-purpose flour. We're gonna combine 2 flours together, and then we're gonna take 3 tablespoons out of this mix because you never know how much flour you're gonna need, and it's always easier to add than subtract. Then we're gonna also sift through our spice mix, and our dry ingredients are ready. In a small saucepan, pour your honey, and I'm using very dark buckwheat honey. And then add 100 grams of butter. And we're gonna heat those through together until the temperature reaches about 185 degrees Fahrenheit or 85 degrees Celsius, which is about 5 minutes. Then we're gonna take it off the stove and take the temperature down to 10 degrees. Or just wait another 5 minutes. Add 1 egg to your dry mix and mix it together. This method of making pryaniki dough is called the cooked method because we add in hot liquid to our flour, which is going to help to cook our flour and also for rye flour to expand a little bit. So we're just going to cover our dough and let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes. After resting, we're gonna start adding that flour that we have reserved, and we're gonna add at first 2 tablespoons, and we're gonna mix the dough. And I'm using the gloves because the dough is quite hot still. We're looking for a very right consistency of this dough. When we pull this dough, it should expand to about 2 inches and be very pliable, almost like a play dough. So keep adding the flour and keep checking your dough. And then at this point, when I'm almost happy with the consistency, I'm only going to add 1 tablespoon and mix our dough through and then check it. And this is perfect, guys. Our dough is ready. And this is how much flour I have left, which is about a tablespoon or so. transfer your pryaniki dough onto a work surface, and I'm using a silicone mat. We're just going to knead it for a couple more minutes. We're going to give it some love, and look how beautiful this dough is. It is glossy. It should not stick to your hands. We're just going to let it rest a little bit. In the meantime, let's prepare our pryaniki molds, and these guys were previously soaked in oil, although it is recommended that we brush them with a little bit more cooking oil so our pryaniki dough does not stick, and when you unmold them, your pattern comes out perfect. Now let's talk about filling. You could fill up your pryaniki with some crushed nuts, some honey, some dolce de leche. I'm actually going to be using some fruit paste, and it's a quince fruit paste. I doubt they used quince back in the old Russia, but I'm just trying to be a little bit more different today. So here you go. Now let's make pryaniki, and we're going to start by this beautiful cross mold, and I'm going to take a little piece of dough and I'm going to sort of make like a little well in the center, and that's going to be some well for our filling. We're going to put our fruit paste, and I'm going to take another little piece of dough, and then we're just going to cover it. And we're going to run rolling pin over our pryanik, so the back of our pryanik is nice and even. And we're ready to unmold it. So look how beautiful this is. I am so impressed with the results. So let's make some more. Here is a beautiful heart. And here's our rooster. And of course, very traditional Russian matryoshka. And we're also going to use this cotton press molds, and those we won't be able to fill because they're quite shallow. So we're going to make a little bunny, and this guy needs a little bit of trimming. So just run your knife over the pattern and then just trim some excess of the dough so it looks much prettier. And then we're going to make this beautiful heart, and also we're going to trim it a little bit so it looks nice and even. And here's our mamul molds, and look how beautiful, looks like a sun. And also this one. We're just going to place all this pryaniki on the baking sheet. And we're going to bake them at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about 10 minutes. And look, they're ready, and I should say they're perfect. To make sugar glaze for our pryaniki, in a small saucepan, add 150 grams of sugar and 50 grams of water. We're going to bring it to a boil, and we're going to boil it for about 5 minutes or about 220 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we're going to take it off the heat, and we're going to cool it down to 180 degrees Fahrenheit temperature. Or when you drop a little drop of that sugar glaze in water, you should be able to roll a little ball out of it. And then we're going to start glazing our pryaniki on both sides. And I just wanted to tell you a very interesting story about pryaniki. Back in the old Russia, and even now, pryaniki was sort of like a greeting card, because people would make pryaniki to let other people know that they care about them. They would make one pryanik say, happy birthday. The other would say, marry me, or simply, I love you. Or people would make pryaniki for special occasions like anniversaries and childbirth or whatever. And you can actually store them after the glaze is been set in a small bag, and they can be stored up to 3 months. And let's open one up, and you see, because we use the fruit paste, our filling is in place, and the dough is quite nice. The dough is quite soft and fragrant and delicious. And I hope you guys enjoyed learning this beautiful tradition of making Russian pryaniki. To me, a pryanik, a gift of pryanik, is a gift of care. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye.